All right, I think we're live. I'll go tweet that out now. Hold on 1 second.
All right.
Hold on 1 second.
All right. Kind of like
Hold on 1 second.
that. Kind of like
Hold on 1 second.
that.
All right, I'm gonna start recording audio.
Throw a hat on. Throw a different.
All right, ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Welcome to episode 110 of the Talking Friars podcast. Ben Fadden, your host here. Thank you so much for joining. Jacob is back finally. We'll get right into it. We got a couple things to talk about. Agon wanted to return to the Padres. Tommy Pham interested in playing first base for some reason. And Kyle Schwarber, should the Padres be interested in him? We have some pretty cool, all-star ideas for the MLB All-Star game. So we'll first just get right into the Adrian Gonzalez story. Kevin Acee of the Union Tribune tweeted out this weekend, that Adrian Gonzalez wanted to return to the team. He wanted to in 2018, wanted to in 2019 on a minor league deal, never got that chance. And so that was disappointing to hear that he was willing to take a hometown discount. And then especially in 2018, when they brought back Chase Headley, they had Jose Perella, they had Carlos Asuaje, they had Corey Spangenberg, they had, I think, Travis Jankowski. It just wasn't a great bench depth, position as a whole for the Padres. And so to not bring back one of the best offensive players in, Padres history on a 1-year deal when they weren't going to be in contention anyway, it would help sell tickets. That was pretty disappointing to see, this weekend. And then in 2019, John Boggs, Tony Gwynn's agent, Agon's agent, also reached out to the Padres, seeing if they wanted to bring him back for a minor league spring training invite deal. They didn't want that. And that really was irritating because Agon, like I mentioned, he's a fan favorite, one of the best players in Padres history. Eastlake High School, the whole thing, wanted to retire as a Padre, and it didn't happen because the Padres didn't want to do it. What I just don't understand, and you can weigh in here, Jacob. I just didn't understand why the Padres wouldn't even bring him on a spring training invite deal. I mean, it's a spring training invite. Like, there's nothing that hurts about inviting someone, a Padre legend, to spring training. He's a former all-star of the team. Shoot, they had Will Ferrell be playing a spring training game for an inning. Like, it just doesn't make sense to not even try.
No, yeah, it's just a kind of a more moral and respecting. It's a hometown kid, That's like I know we talked about earlier off of the recording. It's like if Joe Musgrove wanted to come back down the line, and you declined him. It's like that almost, or what we think would be like that. Maybe not as much because he did throw a no-hitter, but I mean, Adrian Gonzalez, all-star. One of the fan favorites. He's my favorite Padre of all time. It just it irritates me that, could have seen him one last time in a Padre uniform would have been nice. And you really had nothing to lose with that. And you thought about going elsewhere. It's a little irritating as a fan. That's all.
Yeah. And Agon obviously went to the Red Sox in that 2010 December trade. And then to make matters worse, so they lose him, and then they lose Anthony Rizzo when they traded him. So that ended up being one of the worst trades in franchise history. So it was just a really bad, first baseman, experiment, losing both of them, just a double loss there, first base. So that was disappointing. Another, we can stay in that first base position. Tommy Pham, interest in playing first base. That didn't make a whole lot of sense. I saw that over the weekend. Mark Topkin of the Tampa Bay Times said that Pham, who's obviously an outfielder, he's willing to play first base for the Rays. I'd assume that he'd be willing to play first base for the Rays, under regular, for another contender, actually. For anyone. If you're willing to play first base, for me, I wrote about this on GaslightBall.com. If he's willing to play first base, doesn't that mean that teams aren't really interested in him playing the outfield? So, because if they were, I don't think he'd be, openly saying out there that, hey, I'm open to playing first base, because his position's the outfield. I don't think he'd want to go through learning first base and doing all that extra work when, he's an outfielder. So, and then for the Padres, Jorge Alfaro, Eric Hosmer, Jake Cronenworth, Jurickson Profar, Victor Caratini, Will Myers. There are so many guys that can play first base ahead of him that have had big league experience time playing first base. That just doesn't make sense for the Padres. And I just don't see any team even doing first base for Pham, to be honest.
Yeah, he struggled last year as an outfielder. The past couple of years, he struggled as an outfielder. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense for any team, really. Even rebuilding or not, even a contender, especially a contender, to throw an outfielder at first base when you haven't seen much proof that he's ever played first base, if there's any. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's nice that he's willing to do whatever for a team. He's here to win. He'll do anything to whatever his team needs. He'll step in. He's a leader like that.
But, he's willing to do whatever he can for a team, because teams aren't willing to pay him millions of dollars to play the outfield.
To be the outfield, exactly. It doesn't make sense for any team to even look at him like that. He's just trying to boost his stock, I guess. It sounds, like that, but I don't see it happening at all. It's fun. It's a funny story. It's a cool story, I guess.
All right. Main topic. Should the Padres be interested in Kyle Schwarber? I had my own episodes out about Tyler Glasnow, and if Suzuki is worth, $12, $15 million per year over 5 years. You can look at that on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. If you are watching this, tell us where you're watching from. Any questions you have, go ahead and put it in the chat. For Schwarber, should we be interested? First, we can get to the stats. In 2021, 32 home runs. He'd be a DH candidate for me, not an outfield candidate, just to get that out of the way. 71 RBIs last year, almost a 1,000 OPS. He was an all-star, had that really hot stretch with the Nationals. Then he was with the Red Sox. So I think that, it's an option. I think MLB Trade Rumors was talking about $70 million over 4 years, that 4-year, $70 million contract before the lockout. I don't know if that goes up. I don't know if it goes down based on the agreement that should happen sometime next week or by February 28th. If they want a season to start on time. But I think long term, I'm not in really on that. I think that the DH position should be filled better on a rotating, basis with Tatis Areste, Machado Areste. Long term, I'm not talking this year. This year, I think it should be Nelson Cruz on a 1-year deal, someone like that, because they need more power in the lineup, and that would help them win a World Series this year. But long term, I don't think that that's the best option, given that much money to Schwarber. When you need to have that much money, you're giving up a lot of money already, it seems like, to a power-hitting outfielder in Castellanos, Bryant, Suzuki, someone like that. So to put even more money on that, you're already wasting money on Hosmer. Obviously, $300 million on Machado, $340 on Tatis. You want to get him an extension somehow for Musgrove. Can Seidler afford it? Yeah, I think so, and he's willing to spend money. They were over the luxury tax, one of 2 teams with the Dodgers last year. So he's proven that he wants to spend money. He's not just in it for the the profit of it, which is kind of what it seemed like Ron Fowler was as the head owner at some points in times. So I think just financially long term, I think the Padres would be better off not giving Schwarber 4 years, $70 million and all that. But I'd be open on a shorter 1 year deal, 2 year deal. He's averaging 2.2 WAR over his career, so that's pretty good. It gives the Padres pop, obviously. He seems like he was a fan favorite in Boston, when he went there. So I'd be in it for Schwarber. Should they sign him short term, I'd be in on it. But long term, I would stay away from that.
No, yeah, exactly. Hit it right on the nail. It's not a there is a long term option there. It's an expensive one. It's one that I see at most a DH. Maybe you trade Hosmer and he's a first baseman. But outfield, I don't think that's the best option. It is an option for sure. He's an insane power hitter. He's a great player. Obviously 2.2 WAR over his whole career. That's not easy, especially in major leagues. So it's a good fallback option, I think. A good second option, third option. But I think there's just another better option out there that's cheaper. You don't have to get an extensive long-term deal. And it could produce maybe not the same output, but just as good, maybe a little bit less. I mean, and Kyle Schwarber's a very good player, and he deserves all that money. But I just don't know if the Padres really need him that much to give him all of that.
Yeah, I think when you talk about the first base, option, I think that's not really that much of an option for the Padres. Obviously, with Hosmer still here, and like I mentioned, with the whole fam thing. They already have options. They have Alfaro, Caratini, Profar, Cronenworth. They have a bunch of options, guys that can play there. So I think that those guys are under contract as well already. So I think that giving a deal to Schwarber to play first isn't really an option.
No, yeah.
And then DH 1 year, I think that's best. 2 years, obviously, but I think there's more teams that are going to be willing to spend 4 or 5 years deal 70, 80 million on Schwarber, and the Padres should spend that money on a power hitting outfielder who plays every day. And worst case scenario, they can bring back, a Tommy Pham. They can bring in an Eddie Rosario or Jorge Soler on a 1 or 2 year deal and have him DH part-time and have that rotating the rest of the time and then him play the outfield. So there's options. Or Campusano DHs because they have a million catchers on the 40-man right now. So there's options. I think options that would help the team in the future and be less money than what Schwarber would cost, right now. So yes, final verdict for me, yes, in terms of being interested in a short-term deal, no long-term. Last thing we wanted to get to here, kind of just a shorter episode, but just wanted to get this one in. All-Star game, NBA All-Star weekend this weekend. I was watching that Saturday, the skills challenge, 3-point, the new skills format they had. Dunk contest sucked, but I think we've seen all the dunks that can happen. I think that's just old now. But that's not really the point. The point is I think that Major League Baseball could learn some things from that. And I think that having this celebrity game, I know that the NBA has that, and that the celebrity game, for those who don't know and that they've never been to the event, the celebrity game's broadcast on ESPN after the Home Run Derby on Monday nights. It doesn't happen on Monday. It happens after the future game, which happens on Sunday. And I think that Major League Baseball could learn some things from the NBA, moving this to a weekend event so there's more attention to it, not having it on a Tuesday night, a Monday night. This Home Run Derby is like the event of, the weekend, if you want to call it that, the week. But I think that while the celebrity game's great and all, and I think they feel like they have an obligation to do that, speaking from experience for me, I wasn't really interested in that, especially when I was in San Diego and I was there live. It didn't really, do much for me. After the Futures game had already happened with Alex Bregman and Lucas Giolito, I think, played in that. There was a bunch of guys. I think it just didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Terry Crews, with his shirt off, was the most thing like I remember from that. Like it was like Drew Brees was playing, Ozzie Smith. I mean, so just my point is fans watching the people play slow pitch softball. I don't think is that entertaining. They try to hype it up, but it just doesn't do much for me. So I think what they could do, yeah, if you want to have that, I guess you could have that on like the Saturday or something,
Yeah.
or before the Futures game, and show it on like MLB Network or something. But I think like the ESPN event should be, and you could have, they have broadcast rights and all that, but like having a skills challenge, like having a last man standing where a coach or a pitching machine is smacking ground balls at these guys left and right. And I know people are going to say, oh, injuries. You don't want Tatis doing that. Okay, then they don't have to do it. But I know that there's guys like a Freddie Galvis, guys that are good defensively, that I think that's still more entertaining to me, seeing, a last man standing defensively like that. That would be more entertaining. Just from an entertainment standpoint, you could have a throwing competition with catchers having to hit targets at first, second, third. You could have outfielders have to hit targets at bases. Have them have a hanging trash can or something moving and have to hit that, like how they have at the NFL. Yeah. So I think there's just better, more entertaining ways, things that Major League Baseball can take from the NBA, from the Pro Bowl that they're not doing now. And I think it could make it more entertaining, bring more eyes to it in the middle of summer. And I think, I just think it would be more entertaining. It'd just be a better product. Moving it to the weekends would be a better product. I don't know about you. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah, I've thought this for a long time. I thought that every sport, should have like an all-star weekend kind of thing, maybe like how the NFL is doing it now. They're kind of bringing it back to life. They have they had dodgeball for one thing. I mean, that's just random, but it's entertaining. It's entertaining at some points. You can have these guys show off their skills. Different guys that might not be in the All-Star game that
Right.
are good in specific areas. Like you said, Freddie Galvis, good defensively. You could have guys in the outfield, catching fly balls, trying to hit targets out in the outfield. That would be entertaining to me. I would watch that.
This is where like Ha-Sung Kim could get his moment. Like
exactly, like it's guys you wouldn't expect to be, surrounding the all-star vibe. That they're just kind of average guys that excel in a little bit area here, but maybe not like Tatis or crazy guys like Acuna like that. But yeah, I mean, just the implementation of that over a celebrity game that's slow pitched. It's not even. Is it half of the outfield? I don't think it is. It might just be the infield even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The fence is like, the fence is like a pop up in the major leagues.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get some people might want to watch that, but that's not. I think there's more events that could be put in front of that in terms of things that would bring a draw than slow pitch softball celebrities playing. And like what I've at least noticed, like as the years go on, it's like celebrities I've never heard of. Like I know I'm not a music guy and people can bash me for that or whatever, but like there's people I've never heard of playing in these games. It just doesn't bring an entertainment aspect much to me. Some people might like it, but I think that putting actual players, we're talking about highlighting the game, growing the game all the time. How about you put your young players in these big game, in these, skill challenge type settings just to bring something? I know that baseball is not the NFL, and NFL was playing a two-hand touch all-star Pro Bowl, and, they got more ratings than an NBA Finals game on that. So I'm not saying that they're going to get a bunch of ratings, but I'm saying I think that people would be interested in at least checking it out than just the old, celebrity game. And then for Home Run Derby, right? The Home Run Derby, there's big names that participate in that. You could get hurt more in that, I think, than fielding.
Oh, yeah.
Just continuous swinging like that, the torque that you have on, the swing. And people are like worried about how that messes up swings. And that's kind of been proven that it hasn't really. So that's just me. The entertainment value, I think, would be better if Major League Baseball implemented some of the things that the NFL, NBA does during their All-Star, their Pro Bowl weekend. So those are really the topics today. Oh, a pitcher home run derby could be another one too. Mad Bums.
DeGrom, something
Yeah.
like that.
Well,
Herman
LeBron,
Marquez.
Mets aren't going to allow that, but
Herman
Bum-
Marquez, maybe that'd be an
yeah,
interesting kind of one.
yeah, Bumgarner is definitely one up there. You can have Bartolo Colon come back. You talk about entertainment, like just put guys in there. Like I think that would be entertaining. You can make the fences smaller, even if you wanted for that. A less distance on the home runs. I don't care. I just think adding something different, something unique, would be really cool, and it would be entertaining for the public, for the casual fans, for the people who have nothing to do on the weekend. If they move it to the weekend and they're just sitting there like, ESPN, let me watch this, and they get entertained by it, and then that makes them want to go watch the home run derby and then the all-star game, and then maybe it gets hooked on them watching more games. It's just, I think it could bring a trickle-down effect. So those are really the topics. Agon wanted to return to the Padres, according to Kevin Acee, and they declined that. That was disappointing. Tommy Pham is willing to play first base. That's not happening with the Padres. I can tell you that. I don't need sources for that. Schwarber, I'm interested in him on a short-term deal. Long-term, not so much. I think there's just better ways to use their resources. And obviously, having Hosmer under contract kind of hurts that. That kind of prevents them maybe from bringing in an additional big power hitter like that on a longer-term deal. And I think, taking into account the Musgrove contract's big, huge. I think that's huge. The contract extension possibility. I think that is something that the Padres will be taking into effect that not many people might be talking about. So this has been episode 110 of the Talking Friars podcast. I'm glad Jake was able to come back here. This week, we should have Kevin Kopps, Padres prospect. Breaking news here is that he should come on.
We got a prospect.
He was a Golden Spikes Award winner for best college pitcher in the nation coming out of the draft, third-round draft pick for the Padres. Could help the team this year, actually out of the bullpen. So he should come on the show sometime this week, have another guest as well. And I don't want to say his name because I don't know if it will certainly happen or not, but we should have a absolute legend in the world of baseball come on at some point in the next few weeks. Hopefully working on that. Stay tuned on that. This has been episode 110. More episodes to come this week. Thanks so much for listening, watching. Until next time, let's go Padres. Stay safe. Hopefully something gets done here. Some progress is made. And we'll be back. Thanks so much. See ya.